This question gets you really carefully thinking about compound interest and simple interest. So let's focus on the compound interest to start with because we have the exchange rate here. To do a 3% increase, you actually multiply by 1.03. That's your multiplier. Because I've got 100%, I want to increase by 3%. It's going to become 103%. That's essentially what I'm timesing by, and that is equivalent to 1.03. If I want to do it twice, increase by 3% again, then I would multiply by 1.03 again. And if I want to do it 5 times, I would multiply by 1.03 5 times, which is equivalent to just doing 1.03 to the power of 5. So that's how I can do compound interest over 5 years. Much quicker than finding 3%, adding it on, finding 3% of the new amount and adding it on, and so on. That's just a simple formula. And for n years, it would generalize, and I would just replace the 5 by n. Okay, for simple interest, sometimes I think simple interest is actually less simple than compound interest because you really have to think about it. If I have simple interest, forget r%, let's say it was 2%, then I would do 2% times 1500 and I would add it on to my 1500. If I wanted to do that over 5 years, then what I would do is I would actually do 5 lots of 2%. I'd basically find 5 lots of this amount of interest, which is actually 10%. So I can just basically multiply my interest by 5, and I'd get 10% of 1500. What I could then do actually is I could factorize out the 1500 and it'll be 1 plus 10%. And that is not far from being a general formula for simple interest. And basically finding, I've got my 2%, I'm doing it 5 times, so I do 5 times 2%, and then I'm adding that onto 1 to give me my multiplier of 1.1, and then I'm timesing that by 1500. So it's going to work in a very similar way when it's r%. It's going to be 1500. Do you know what? I might do it in the same kind of way. So it's going to be 1500 plus r% times 1500. That would be for 1 year, but for 5 years, I'm going to multiply that by 5. And then that's going to be 1500, and I'm going to factorize it straight out now. It's going to be 1 plus 5 times r%. In this case, when I have 2%, it would be 0.02 or 2 over 100. It's going to work in a very similar way here. It's going to be 1 plus 5r over 100. Okay, and I've created a formula for the simple interest. All right, what I can do now, because I'm told they have the same amount of money at the end, is I can just set these equal to one another. 1500 times 1.03 to the 5 must equal 1500 1 plus 5r over 100. And I can cancel out, I can divide through by 1500. So 1.03 to the 5 equals 1 plus 5r over 100. I'm going to minus 1 from both sides. So 1.03 to the 5 minus 1, and I'm left with 0.15927. And that is equal to 5r over 100. I'm nearly there, I just need to times by 100 and divide through by 5. 3.185, which to 1 decimal place becomes 3.2. Let me just write that out again. Okay, I like that way of doing it. I like to create and solve an equation. I think once you become confident at solving equations, it's a really powerful way of solving these sorts of situations. just going to talk quickly about an alternative way that you might prefer, and that is to actually find out how much k has. So k has 1500 times 1.03 to the 5 . They have 1700, 1738.9. And so we know that's the same amount as the total from the simple interest. So the simple interest itself is going to be the total amount minus the starting amount. And that's going to be 238.91. And that's over 5 years. So for 1 year, I'm going to have to divide it by 5. And I'll get 47.782. Now I just need to remember, how do I actually work out my simple interest for 1 year? And if you remember what it was R% times 1500. That gave me my simple interest for 1 year. So this is equal to R% times 1500. So R% is going to equal 47.782 divided by 1500. You might find this just intuitively a little bit simpler. 0.03185. And then to get R, because that's actually R over 100, I would multiply through by 100 and I'd get my 3.185 again, and then I'd get my 3.2.